This is Chapter 2, Beginning of the Global Age, discussion number 4, Europe meets China and Japan. So what about China? When the Europeans started arriving to China, again, China said, hey, yeah, we'll trade with you. We'll make money off you. One of the things about China, though, is that China considered themselves to be superior to pretty much everyone, which means they really didn't need to go anywhere because no one else had anything that they liked. So they weren't very impressed when the Europeans were showing up. Yeah, they had nice ships, but, what are you going to do? Portuguese were the first ones to get there, of course, and they established themselves a trading post on the island of Macau. Chinese regulated European trade, only allowed certain amount of times that they could show up, only allowed certain amounts of trade to go on. They weren't going to let all this perfect Chinese stuff go back. And at that point, Chinese quality was very high. And they were only allowed trading where the Chinese allowed them to trade. If you look at slide 17, you'll see one of the things I want you to see is Macau and Hong Kong are essentially right next to each other. And the British, when they established their trading post, they set up shop in Hong Kong. Now, the Portuguese also sent missionaries. Remember, one of the main reasons why they wanted to go sailing is that they wanted to win Africa for Christ. Well, Portuguese also tried to do that to China. But the Chinese weren't really interested in the religion part of it. They were very good with Confucius's teachings and Buddhism. Uh, but they said, hey, we can learn from the Europeans there, knowledge that hasn't quite gotten to us yet. It might be interesting to learn. Chinese economy expanded with the trade. They also got new crops, such as potatoes and corn, that expanded what they had on their menus. And so China was happy to have this limited, very controlled experience with these Europeans coming to conduct business with them. However, one of the things that they started worrying about is that the Jesuits are Catholic. Remember, we talked about Inigo Loyola. And, of course, all these people who were converting themselves to Christianity with the missionaries' influence, all of a sudden they're saying, are they going to listen to the rulers of China, or are they going to take orders from the Pope? And on top of that, we have Westerners going around, why are all these dumb Chinese not believing in Christianity and doing things our way? And then you have the Chinese going, who are all these dumb Europeans who are trying to get us to change our way? Obviously, Chinese and Confucianism is way superior than them. And so we start having a conflict of interest and a conflict of cultures. And China essentially says, we will win this fight, you're out. And they expelled all the Europeans. So that was something that was very significant to them. Now, another country that I want to make sure that we talk about are two countries, is that of Korea and Japan. Now, Japan did a lot of the same thing that China did, allowed Europeans to come in, but when the converts started going that they were going to might listen to the Pope more than they listened to the local powers, the Tokugawa shoguns, they then expelled the Europeans and they allowed one ship one time a year to bring the news, trade a little bit, and then get out. Korea, on the other hand, had some more difficulty, mainly because they weren't a very powerful country in themselves, but they were in a very bad location. See, China was on one side and Japan was on the other. These two big powers, who like to strut their stuff militarily, like to try to conquer the other side. And the best way of doing that would be going through Korea. So, off and on through the centuries, Korea keeps on being conquered, either Japan on its way to China or China on its way to Japan. And Korea just essentially says, we're not letting anyone in because as soon as we let someone in, Japanese, Chinese, and if we let you Europeans in, the same thing's going to happen. You're going to beat us up all too. So forget this. Everyone's out. And one of the things that we can know about the Korean idea is that it's very important to stay Korean. They don't like the intermingling of the Japanese with the Koreans or the Chinese with the Koreans or anybody with the Koreans, because they have this historical idea that that's the only way they can survive, because they keep on getting conquered because they're between these two major powers of East Asia. This concludes discussion number 4, Europe meets China and Japan. This also concludes Chapter 2, Beginning of the Global Age discussion. Thank you.